And finally, to finish up the Rotten Blood series, a full guide on how to do Bakragore, which can only be accessed if you have completed the 4 mini-bosses with the respective 4 taints. So check the guide series if you need information on them. Now, assuming you have access, head to the south area on the lobby to find the teleport to the lower room. Same as the previous bosses, EK should go in first with RP going in last. This is for the Bloodjaws and Bakragore priority targets. For this fight, the main damage for the mages is energy and death, so go with stone skin amulets preferably and energy protection on equipment pieces. The second druid is best to use life drain protection, since he spends more time near the EK the way we do it. Paladin should also gear up with death protection, and stone skin amulets is the safest way to go. Experienced players can toggle between life drain and SSA, but if safety is a concern, then SSA is the way to go. As for the EK, it's mainly life drain with physical, but during the boss it's also encouraged to use SSAs. Additionally, with this being the final boss, it has the mechanics from the access bosses, such as the summoning of mushrooms and pillars, with the distinction of summoning 4 of each instead of 8. However, they will do the same as the previous bosses. Each mushroom does 2.7k life drain damage upon exploding in a small AoE around it, and the pillars trigger a chain attack that sets you at 11 charges, and each second one charges goes away, doing 1500 death damage per tick, but getting hit by the beam of the bosses releases all charges at once, resulting in an easy way for mages to die if they get beam, and even the paladins without SSAs. Additionally, there is the trials, promotion, and the Darklight bosses. The first one is the white trial left by the boss. This does 3% of max HP in agony damage if stepping on it, but it's worth noting that it's not the same as Ichigo that applies Hex, so it's not bad to step on it if you had to. Also, the energy trial left behind by players does the same amount of agony, but additionally, this one heals the boss for 500 HP each step, which is far less than Merchant, but it's important to avoid him healing constantly. Also, just like the Darklight bosses, everyone will be building up 2 charges each second, and upon reaching 20, you start taking 15% of your max HP, and the charges are reduced only by walking in the room. Lastly, the main mechanic from the Darklight bosses is also present, which is every 90 seconds, an orange teleport appears in the middle, and you have to walk a Bloodjaw on top of it to not only remove them, but also pass the boss aggro from RP to EK, and do as much damage as possible during this phase as he takes more damage. Also, he does big agony hits at the 6 and 12 seconds, with EKs taking 5 and 10% of max HP, and everyone else 40 and 80% of max HP, if they are aggro by the boss, which is why it's essential for the EK to be the one with the boss during those attacks, and 12 seconds from the moment you get rid of the Bloodjaws, and right after he does the hit, you must pass the boss again. Keep in mind this time there is no text indicator from the boss like the Darklight brothers, and the only indicator will be noticing the agony hit, which is unreliable and hard to do with all going on. So first, for the 90-second timer, I use this website on my second monitor, setting a timer for 25:03, which is also the time limit for Bakragore. But this is also so that I can press start and then count down for 15 to 3 seconds and pull the lever at 25. Then I just need to keep a look at the 90-second intervals, which I also have on the second monitor to keep track of. This is how I do it, and if you have a different way to track, go with it. But it is very important to be tracking the time, even if it's not the EK doing it. If someone else has it and communicates when the portal is about to open, then EK can lure the Bloodjaws on time, since failing to do so within the 15 seconds results in everyone taking 80% of their max HP. Additionally, what the EK must absolutely have is a secondary tracker for the 12 seconds upon dropping the Bloodjaw. For that, I use a program in Steam called Soundpad. On this program, you can set up media files and assign a hotkey to trigger them through your mic. So I have a file with a 12-second countdown, and it plays to everyone on my Discord call upon using it. The program has a free version that gives 10 uses when opening it, which I didn't know about, and the first time we did it, I wasted some uses on testing to see if it worked, and then mid-fight the sounds stopped playing, and it's because I used that limit. The paid version, which costs $3, has unlimited uses, so I used that instead. I will be uploading the sound file on my Discord with a countdown, and you can use it inside the program, which as a disclaimer I have no association with. Lastly, because of the fourth thing, now you take 15% extra damage from all sources, including the special agony attacks from the boss, resulting in near headshot attacks. Now with that said, and now let's get into the boss fight. Before entering the room, there is theories that the time spent in the living room can affect the spawn of bloodgels, so many teams line up to the teleport and go in with the EK first and RP last and quickly pull the lever. But on every attempt we have done, we have been AFK inside the room for a while, and only one time did we get all bloodgels at the start, so it's most likely a random thing, which is also one of the scariest. So I wish there was a guaranteed way to avoid this, but it doesn't seem to be the case. With that said, ideally, upon entering the room, you only find Bakragore, and then the RP can take the aggro and go to the north side of the room with it. EK needs to be close to the middle as the bloodgels start respawning shortly after, and this time there will be 4 of them. Once you have them all, head south. That's the best case scenario. The worst one is if upon entering the room, you find Bakragore and the 4 bloodgels. This only happened to us recently, and what I assume will be the best way to react to this is that upon entering, RP and EK go sideways opposite to each other. If the RP doesn't block the path of the bloodgels, they will go after the EK, and if the EK doesn't get close to Bakragore, it won't aggro him. Another option I've seen is for the EK to go straight north, taking everything with him, and RP trying to block Bakragore on his path. That is more dangerous to pull off, but it's also a viable way to go. And if RP happens to take aggro of a bloodgel, then maybe EK can rest it on the way back south. Keep in mind, all of this is dangerous because having bloodgels on the RP is a lot more damage with the boss included, on top of chances of getting rooted. And the EK should never be in the same screen as the RP to avoid the trigger of the first thing, which swaps places with bloodgels, resulting in chaotic situations. This unfortunately has high chances of happening throughout the fight, and the safest way to recover is for the EMS to walk near Bakragore to take aggro, and RP can lure the bloodgel south to the EK. If you have the knight try to come himself with the other bloodgels, it almost always results in more teleports around with the shooters. Once you are past that and with the bloodgels on the south, ideally EK wants to run in a controlled manner in a short rectangle, something like this. You will occasionally get rooted and you should be calling for heals when that happens. During most of our attempts, I wasn't doing this part optimally and I will make wide laps, which only gives more room for bloodgels to get in the screen of shooters and trigger the teleports. If PK focuses on a small area, it also helps the druid on the south side to stay on top of him a lot more, which this is a strategy that we use and recommend. It does come with the downside that this druid doesn't get to attack Bakragore as much. He will try to shoot the stun showers at the edge of the screen as much as possible to do damage that way, which is necessary if your team is on the low end of levels. If you have a strong trio, MS, RP, and ED, they can deal with the boss on their own, which is what we did more recently, where we had a druid coming for the first time and mostly stay on me. I will be reviewing our mistakes in the failed runs on a different video, and that might help even more, so consider subscribing. But a quick spoiler, most of them were me dying, which happened because the secondary druid will try to do more damage and stay off screen, and will come to heal when I got rooted. So we stopped doing that, because failing the boss from people dying is more common than failing for running out of time. That's why I recommend the strat with a dedicated healer on the EK, doing damage when possible. This druid has to pay attention to the movement of the EK. Try to match the positioning in a way you stay at the edge of the screen to avoid teleports, which is why it helps if the EK is running in a controlled space. Additionally, something that made our most recent attempt a lot easier was the addition of the greater garlic necklaces. Before, I would run out of necklace of the deep quick and get hit without a necklace for some turns. Also, it's important to be aware of the warnings for swaps. If you are moving too much, you might get swapped in a spot where you walk out of the teleport. So I personally slow down when I see the swap coming and pay attention to where I get taken to. Or if I notice the swap happening on the north part of my lab, then I call for potential swap with mages or near them. Also, whenever I get rooted is when I rest them. And also if the swap takes me close to all 4, I rest too. They can go for a while without retargeting, but they still will lose aggro sometimes, so it's best to rest every now and then. Whenever the bloodgel goes on someone, it's best if that person brings it to the EK, stand still or in a good spot where they can pass by and you rest it, or if it is close enough, walk to it and rest it. This is very situational, so it's kind of a decision making at the moment, especially based on the reaction time of the person with it. Most times, if went on the main ED, I will come for it, and if he brought it to me, he will call for the secondary ED to take over the healing of the RP. Lastly, when it's time for the swapping, bring the boss towards the north side and then run as the timer is hitting 12. This way the RP intercepts the boss quicker, but also safely after the special attack. Then he can bring it towards the north side. Meanwhile, the EK is close to the middle to grab the bludgeons. They respawn around 3 to 4 seconds after the attack sometimes, so it's best to be fast for this. If you miss the timer, then play it safe and wait until the first blue teleport appears in the middle, which indicates bludgeons are coming. This only happens if the boss already did the attack. Now, moving on to the paladin section. The kiting of this boss is very similar to the Darklight bosses. Your movement is mainly based on the pillar's placement and avoiding beams, looking to avoid walking near the pillars and mushrooms. You can go through mushrooms if necessary, but truly prioritize avoiding the pillars, while aiming for the boss to not step on your Darklight fields. If the boss is constantly walking over it, then it's like having one of the mages do half damage. If you had to step on his trial or yours, it's not the end of the world. If it helps to backtrack in order to avoid him healing or running into pillars, that's fine too. Additionally, because Bakragore is strong to physical and death, you want to do most of your attacks with Mass Sand, Grenade, and Exorcist Sand, prioritizing for a Grand Con when it's up. There is even paladins that drop life leash on the crossbow to imbue earth damage, but that is a bit of a luxury that you can only get away with when the druid is on top of healing you a lot more and if you are experienced with Bakragore already. Not something that we had tried ourselves yet, and the added benefit to using spells over runes for attack is that you are able to get more potion turns. Bakragore has quite a heavy and constant mana drain, to the point that if you are holding Grand Sand, you will run out of mana, so you need to use your turns or ultimates and heal when necessary. It helps if the druid is also trying to match the RP's movement and move closer to the middle when the RP is on the left side of the screen, which as the main shooters, you also need to try and avoid pillars. Definitely never be in a position to get beam and when possible, avoid the twin burst attack. But another added benefit is that if a shooter gets closer to the pillar to attack and this somehow gets in range of the RP, he could chain him when he's not expecting it. Back to the RP, something paladins do is intentionally get hit by the beam of the boss. This is when you are already low on charges, like 5 or so, and have a fresh SSA on you. Then the beam damage will get mostly blocked from the SSA, leaving you with no charges and somewhat safe to swap to a garlic necklace. If you do this, it will be lowering the amount of ticks your SSA covers, from the melee hits it takes to get a beam to the constant damage tick per charge when kiting. But if the goal is safety, then holding SSA and mind rings is the way to go, even if you could get away with using more garlics or in some cases Ring of Souls or the Donor Ring, which some high-level paladins use for mana drain protection. A tool to keep track of all of this is On Top Replica. A lot of paladins use this to watch their necklaces, rings, and distance skills. It's not something I use myself, but this is how it works. Open the program and select Window, look for Tibia. In this recording, we are using a screenshot to illustrate, since the Tibia client can't be recorded in screen captures. Select the region where you want to focus on, then cut it further to get what you want, and then fit it to a size and position you prefer. Most people have them near their characters so they don't move their eyes too far out. Repeat this by opening another window on the program and do it with the next item, resulting in something like this: ring, neck, and distance. The reason to include the distance skill is because Bakragore lowers it very often, to the point you will want to be using bullseye potions if your retiro is on cooldown or you are not safe enough to use Utiro. This is a fight where you are able to use Utiro and is encouraged, but it also comes with decision making, such as knowing you are in the screen of the druid, being low on charges, being green HP, or when standing still, since chances of getting being hard are quite low. When doing the swapping, if you are using the program I shared on the EK section, then you are able to know when it's safe to intercept the boss. However, and despite me saying it's better to do it fast, I don't recommend being near the boss after 12 seconds is coming up. Give it a fraction of a second, or depending on the boss position, make the decision, because there needs to be room for human error. For example, pressing the hotkey for the countdown a bit early or late, or rushing the passing because of being low HP or simply in a rush. There is almost no room for reaction if you get hit by the special attack. Remember, it's 80% of agony damage multiplied by 14%, and most of the times you won't be full HP already. Another trick to use is to accommodate your backpack for rings and necklaces. Have your backpack with fresh items first, and then in the manage container, set the obtain for necks and rings in a different backpack that is on a deeper slot. What this does is if you take off SSA too early when trying to put a new one, the used SSA will go at the end towards the later backpack and pressing the hotkey will take a fresh necklace instead of the used one. Same applies to rings. This helps with potential mistakes when swapping necks. That's all I got for this boss. Coming up will be a video reviewing clips from all the mistakes we have recorded while doing Bakragore runs. I decided against including in this video to simplify the guide, but also not to make the video too long. If you found it helpful, consider subscribing, and thank you for watching.